La.
Takes a few seconds, but. Okay, I think we got it, and I think we're live. Yes, we are.
Awesome.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday.
Hey, everyone.
Hi, this is Oana and I have Shane with me today. And Shane just got back from a really cool, all-paid, all-inclusive cruise because, he's doing what he's supposed to. And he's been working his butt off this past year. And he's got some really, really interesting things to share with you guys, what he learned, and just a couple of tips that everyone could use in their daily business lives, because it's not just for our business, it's just about, our daily lives in general and how important it is for us to, be able to manage our time and do all that the correct way. So Shane, I'll just pass it down to you.
Yes, ma'am. Hi, guys. Okay, so, I just spent this incredible week on a cruise with some of the top leaders in another company. And at the end of that cruise, we had our national launch event where we got to really sit down and listen to some of the top leaders in that organization. And I think one of the highlights for me was just listening to and getting to be in the same room with Todd Falcone. And wow, there were some things that were taught there that I didn't even realize that I had been doing in my own life, that I had been using to help myself with consistency. So I really just felt like I had a lot of great information that I really wanted to bring back and share with the team and with the organization as a whole. So I'm going to pop up here. I'm going to share my screen. I've got a couple slides here. Let's see. And let me know if you can see this. Just put a 1, and Juana, you'll have to let me know.
Perfect. It works.
Awesome. Okay. So the subject today is about consistency. I want to talk about consistency, and more specifically, how to stay consistent for those who struggle with consistency. So the goals here today is to basically help you rewire your brain to think about goals a little differently, to learn a new approach to taking consistent action and goal setting. So consistency is the key to success. You hear this over and over and over and over again in our business. You hear it so often that it almost starts to sound cliche, but there's a reason it's said so often, and that's because it is 100% accurate. It is 100% true. Without consistency, you'll never build a long-term viable business. You'll never build something that'll last. Now, you may have some short-term gains. You may actually make a few $100s here, a few $1,000s there, but you'll never build something that will last long-term. So the question here is, why do you struggle with consistency? Well, number one, you have to understand who you are in relation to the 80-20 principle, the 80-20 rule. Now, if you're not familiar with the 80-20 rule, I would encourage you to Google that. I'll go over that in just a minute. But before I do that, I want to tell you a little story about the Marshmallow Test. Now, this is a quite funny and a quite hilarious thing that they do to these kids. You can actually go to YouTube and just type in Marshmallow Test, and it's quite funny. It's hilarious what these kids are agonizing over. But this test they started doing this, and some Stanford psychologists started doing this back in the 60s. And they still do it today. They're still doing it. But it started way back then. And what they did was they took all these kids, all these kindergartners, and they put them in a room individually. And in this room, there's just a table and a plate. And they tell these kids, they usher the kids in and set them down, and they tell these kids, we're going to leave for a little while. But they take it out of marshmallow and they put it in the middle of this table right in front of these kids. And they tell them that you're free to eat this marshmallow right now if you'd like. But if you wait until I get back, I'll give you 2 marshmallows. Now, if you watch some of these kids, it is hilarious. Some of them have their head down on the table and they're bumping the marshmallow with their nose and sniffing the marshmallow. Some of them are picking up and like really trying to smell it, and some of them putting it on their lips. You could kind of see the little gears going on in their head, you know, like, should I eat the marshmallow? And some of them put it down for a second and then pick it back up. You know, it was hilarious. You have to watch it. It's if you want to laugh today, go watch that.
Watch the video.
Yeah, watch the video. Oh man. So the question is, how many of those kids do you think actually ate that marshmallow, and how many kids actually waited? Well, if you said 80% ate the marshmallow, you would be right. 80% of people lack the ability for delayed gratification. Now, this test that they do, they follow these people throughout their lives, and they observe that the kids who could wait for something more, a bigger reward, tend to do better academically. They tend to do better financially. They had better jobs. They even had better health. Those 20% showed the ability to make a different choice for a bigger reward instead of what was immediately in front of them. That other 80% wanted instant gratification, and for this reason, for the 80%, goals are useless. A goal is a delayed reward that is just too far away, something that's way out there. We need something now, right now. I think Dan called it the microwave mentality. Need something right now.
And I mean, it happens a lot. Sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
I see it all the time, and especially like with the new people coming in on our teams and stuff like that, because when they're new and they have no experience at all, and this is kind of like their first take to online business, they kind of think that as soon as they talk to one person or, as soon as they run their first traffic, they already want to have like, thousands of dollars coming back in as their return on investment. And it doesn't happen that fast.
It really doesn't.
It really sucks, because I wish it was that easy. But if it was that easy, then everyone would do it in the same time. So you have to think of it just like everything else we do in life. It takes practice. It takes, a little bit of time for you to master a new skill that you've never done before. And that instant gratification sometimes, and for some of us, it does happen because you might get lucky and you have some friends who are interested right away in getting healthy or joining, the fitness program, or they have already, a brick and mortar business and they need the autoresponder or something along those lines. But for most of us who don't have, friends that are already interested in this, or maybe you're just shy and you don't want to approach your friends and family about your new opportunity, it doesn't happen right away. It takes a couple of months. And that's why we always so strongly, suggest to you guys to have a little bit of patience. Take some time and don't give up as soon as you get your first, refusal. That doesn't mean that you don't know what you're doing and that this opportunity is not for you. That no, it just means you're a step closer to your first yes. It's that easy. Yeah,
I think it took me probably 3 weeks to even get my first sign up before I saw any interest, really. And there's really a lot of people think that there's some kind of easy button. And a lot of it is due to some poor marketing. Sometimes you have marketers out there who unfortunately are just not on the up and up, right? And so people come into opportunities thinking that, hey, this is going to be easy. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of people also think that when you go and, like, for instance, you were talking about, return on your investment. A lot of people think that as soon as you spend $1 on an ad or something, you're supposed to make $2 back, and that it just doesn't work that way. You're not going to see immediate results.
Not in the beginning, because in the beginning, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to create the ad to be, necessarily the best ad out there. You have to test it out. You have to see what works for you and the audience that you're targeting. So honestly, guys, the only way that you can jump into a business like this and make it happen in 24 hours is if either you have a background where you know a lot of people that are already interested, or you have a lot of money to put into advertising right away.
Right.
Either way, though, you might not get your return on investment in like the first week, but at least you're starting to see, some of the wheels turning. Otherwise, it takes a lot of work and a lot of dedication.
Right. So let's see. So moving on here. And so number 2, what is the difference between being in that 20% and being in that 80%? Well, like I said, if you're not familiar with 80-20 rule, here's just a quick sentence to help you understand what it means. This principle states that roughly 80% of effect comes from 20% of cause. So more specifically to what we're doing, 80% of our results come from 20% of our effort. And even as a whole, this principle is so applies to so many different things, even as a business as a whole, even as your team as a whole. 20% of those who join your team will be able to set goals. They'll be able to stay consistent and achieve those goals. The other 80% are the people who really struggle to stay consistent. A lot of them will quit, unfortunately. And, they just can't, they have to have that instant gratification. So 20% can set long-term goals, as I said, stay consistent with their action, eventually achieving those goals. The other 80% cannot stay consistent, which prevents them from achieving long-term goals. So if you struggle with long-term goals, you are an 80%er. And I have a confession to make right here and right now. I am that 80%er. I am somebody who has always struggled to stay consistent in certain areas of my life. Now, what I'm going to share with you in just a minute, I have had a lot of success with staying consistent in other areas, but obviously there are certain parts of my life that I have never been consistent with. And up to recently, I hadn't been consistent enough with my business. And I am definitely one of those 80%ers. So
I think a lot of us are, though.
Right. Yes.
And just because we get busy, I mean, look at it. Most of us do have, either a job on the side while trying to build your business. I know some people on my team actually have 2 jobs while trying to, make this business work. We have families, we have kids, we have, all kinds of, emergencies here and there. You have a life besides this. So you can't say that you can spend and dedicate all of your time in here. And we do understand that happens, but Shane has a solution to make that, your 80%, not sound as bad, and to kind of overcome it and to push yourself into becoming more consistent every single day and kind of striving towards that 20%.
Yep. So there's good news. As an 80%er, you can learn to be consistent. You just have to think about it a little differently. And I'll get into that in just a moment. On the other side, the 20%. Normally that 20% group are your leaders. Those are the people who just they know what they got to do. They've learned what they have to do, and they get out there and they set those goals and they achieve generally. As a leader, you can guide the other 80% of the people on your team towards a more consistent life, a life of consistency. And of course, I had to quote myself because it's my slide, so I.
Why not?
Why not? So what's the solution to this? Well, I'm going to go over 4 things that you should do to help you stay consistent. If you are struggling with consistency, this is what you have to do. Number 1, this might seem obvious, but find your why. Until you find your why, the how, it doesn't matter. Now, my why is maybe different than yours. I'm a family man. I have 3 sons. I have a wife who is now a stay-at-home mom after our 3rd child. And so they all really, they rely on me. And I want to have a life where my children don't have to understand what I had to go through when I was a kid. And I know that a lot of you probably haven't heard my full story. When I was growing up, my parents, my dad was in the Air Force, and we lived in Japan for several years. And while we were there, my parents divorced and separated. And we came back to the States. And now my parents, they weren't educated people. They didn't have, they graduated high school, but they didn't have an education. They were very young when my brother and I were born. And there was a lot of things that they were trying to do, that they felt like was the right thing, that looking back, as an adult, as a parent, I think that I never want my children to have to go through. My brother and I, with my dad, we lived in a 27-foot camper trailer for many years, a couple of years of our lives. And it was one of those little camper trailers where, the bathroom, here's the kitchen, and the bathroom was right here. And basically the everything is in the restroom is like right there. So it's a little tiny shower. We didn't have hot water. If we needed to take a warm bath, especially in the winter, we would take a big pot and we would put it on the stove because it was electric. So we had electricity, fortunately, but we'd put it on the pot and we'd warm it up, and we would use the warm water. And then, and so for us, we were lucky if before school started, we were lucky if we got to go to Walmart and pick out a new pair of Wrangler jeans and 2 WWF t-shirts. We just struggled. My dad was really struggling financially from job to job. When he first got out of the Air Force, he worked on airplanes, the bodies of the airplane, and he took that job and was able to make a pretty good income initially, where he was working for E-Systems. I don't even know what it's called today. Someone bought them out. I think they're called something else. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe E-Systems still is around, but he basically lost a job. They were cutting a lot of people. They sold the company, I believe. I think that's what happened. And from that point on, my dad just really struggled financially. So we were going through these times where we just didn't have anything. As a matter of fact, this is something that I've never told anyone, and I'm going to tell you guys right here, right now. There was a time in our life where to even have groceries, you would go to the grocery store, and most people would go to the grocery store and go through the front door. We would wait until a certain time of the day, a certain time of the week, and we would go to the back of this grocery store and ask for the food that they were going to throw away in the dumpster, because generally it was like food that was a day expired, like bread or something like that. The humiliation that causes a child, it's humiliating. It's horrible. It's a horrible feeling. And it is one of the driving factors of what I do today. I never want my children to understand what I went through, how that feels to beg for food is a horrible thing. It's one of the reasons why I've worked so hard to get where I am today. I love my parents. Don't get me wrong. They're wonderful people. They did what they had to do to keep us alive, keep us fed, and keep us housed. And this is my real story. This is how I grew up. I grew up in a very rural area out in northeast Texas, and things were really bad for a while. Luckily, I had, my parents loved me, and I know that. I'm not bashing my parents at all. They just didn't know what they didn't know. But luckily I had great grandparents, and I had great support through the church that we were involved in. And so I had a lot of good things in life as well. I had a good education That was probably the number one factor in my life, is that I had people around me who still, even though my parents lacked the education, made sure that I had good education. And it really allowed me to do what I needed to do, and it's put me where I am today.
Thank you so much for sharing that with everybody. It's hard, and you guys probably saw my post from yesterday. It makes it really hard for us to like open up sometimes and to just share our story, because a lot of times, and a lot of us don't always have this, happy, giddy mood that you guys see us in. That's not how we grew up. And, we have, our issues and our problems in our lives too. And just because we don't show it every day, it doesn't mean that our lives have always been just pink and beautiful. So, but like Shane said, you have to find your why, no matter what that would be. And just, for some of us, especially if you guys are very, very young and you're starting this, maybe your why right now is just traveling the world and making money. And that's fine.
That's good.
But that will not keep you motivated for long.
Yep.
You have to find a bigger purpose in life, something that will keep you driven when that day comes and you hit some bumps. Because as we said, business and life in general is not always just uphill. So you're going to hit some roadblocks, and you're going to have some days when you just want to quit and you want to give up on everything that you've built so far. But if you have a strong why and a strong motivation to keep you going, you're going to find a way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sometimes, especially when you're just getting started in life, maybe your why isn't your family. Maybe it's just to help your parents, you know what I mean? Maybe it's just to help your family, your extended family, your siblings, and, or just help others, so it doesn't, like I said, everyone's why is a little different. So you just have to find that why, because your why is what will be the driving force and focus that you'll need to stay consistent. While consistency is the key to success, one of the keys to consistency is your why.
Exactly.
So we know that consistency is key to success, but there's an underlying factor to consistency, and that's your why. That's at least one of them. There's another one, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Number 2, learn your goals. Now, this is what was some of my favorite. Remember when I told you I learned something about myself, about something that I had implemented? Well, this was it, the goals. The goals is something that helps you just get further, to just make it to that next task, make it to that next live event, or through the next live event, make it through that next email, that phone call, that post, etc. So I spent nearly 5 years in the Marine Corps. I from 97 to 2001, and then I got recalled in 2003. And I can distinctly remember in boot camp thinking this the entire 3 months that I was in boot camp. I can distinctly remember thinking, if I could just get through this exercise, if I could just get through this mile, if I could just get through this half mile, if I could just get through this obstacle, if I could just make it to breakfast, if I could just make it to lunch, if I could just make it to dinner. And then, and I did that every single day. I distinctly remember working out. I remember doing, some kind of a, workout and thinking, I just got to get through this to the next task. I got to get through this obstacle. And I did that every single day until I graduated. I wasn't worried about what was going to happen tomorrow. I wasn't worried about graduation 3 months down the road. I was just worried about what was immediately in front of me, what I had to do right then and there. And that's what the goal is about. It's about immediate gratification. It's about immediate success.
Yes. Because as amazing as it is to have long-term goals and just kind of create that big picture for yourself. And if you guys heard us talk before about having a vision board, those are amazing to just set some goals, and you can actually put on your vision board, whatever house you want down the line, or cars or boats or whatever else you guys are interested in. But those are more a not necessarily a dream house, but something to aspire and to work towards. In the meantime, though, you need to have smaller goals every day and every week that you can accomplish right away. Because when you only have the long-term goals, they're so hard to achieve. And that's why so many of us give up. Because you look at it and you're like, oh my God, that's never going to be possible. How am I going to get there? But when you break it down to very attainable goals every single day and you create tasks, it's so much easier, and your self-confidence raises so much when you can just look at your list and be like, oh, I've done this, I've done that. Okay, I'm on the right path.
Yeah, that's a good point. Your self-confidence will just soar as you begin to accomplish each one of those tasks. And then before you know it, you'll look back and you'll be 3-4 months into something and you'll be like, wow, I'm really starting to make some progress. Maybe, of course, maybe that's 6 months down the road. But regardless, it's all about those individual tasks that you can win at that moment every single day, throughout the day, right? It's about getting better at inviting more people to webinars, getting smarter at speaking and prospecting, getting better at it as well. A goal that allows you to win every single day.
Do you remember our first couple of lives?
I think
and how so nervous we were.
Yeah, right. I think I was so nervous. I don't really remember anything.
Oh my God. I don't remember the topic or anything like that, or in that much detail. I just remember the first couple of them, and you were on it, and Matt was there, and Shane. And then I got thrown into a mix in my first couple of ones with Joel. And I was like, oh my God, I'd totally blank out. I couldn't remember what I wanted to say. My voice was shaking. It was horrible. But as you practice, and, as Shane just said, you get better and faster, and just, you start enjoying doing this. Because honestly, guys, bottom line is, if this whole idea of marketing and talking to people and sending them emails every single day freaks you out and gives you anxiety, and you're not enjoying none of it, I'm sorry to say it, but then it's not for you. You have to do it with passion, because when you call people or when you write that first email, they can feel it in your voice if you're not excited about what you're saying. I hate it when telemarketers call me and they're like, oh, hey, how's your day going? We have this. And I'm like, seriously? You want me to get excited about a product when your voice is so monotone that I can't even understand what you're saying? No, you have to get passionate. You have to enjoy what you're doing, because bottom line, that's what it all comes to. Find something that you're passionate about, find a very strong why, and then the rest of it can be learned along the way.
Right. Yeah. One thing I love about network marketing is, first of all, it puts everyone on the same playing field. It doesn't matter who you are in life, where you've come from, where you live. We're all on the same playing field. We all have the same equal opportunity to get to the top.
Exactly.
You just have to take action, and consistent action. And that's what we're talking about here for people who struggle with that. This is what you have to do. You have to break it down day by day. Don't worry about the long-term goal. It's great. If you want to put up on your wall your long-term goal, and actually I think you should, but that's too far away. That's not something you should focus on. You should actually be looking at the immediate thing, the immediate task that you have to do at that moment. You have to break it down into micro level goals and continue to grow that way and continue to move forward that way. Good to go? Does that make sense?
We're getting some likes, so I think they like what we have to say.
Awesome. So number 3. So this is something that I just recently learned and I've just recently started to do. And that is create a chain. Now, our chains may be a little different. You could do it in a couple different ways. But I have on my wall a calendar. And actually, let me go back for just a moment. When we're talking about the why, my why I have written down, and over my desk, above my computer, basically about eye level height, I have my why written down. Why I'm doing what I'm doing. But right next to that, I have a calendar where every single day as I complete a goal, I create my, or for me, it's my day's goal. So I have several things that I like to do, right? So every single day when I'm done, I create an X. I mark the day off. And the next day, I do the same thing. And then the next day, I do the same thing. And before you know it, you have a chain going. And in my mind, I can't break this chain. I keep thinking, don't break the chain. I cannot break the chain. I'm like the guy who, when you're walking on, on a sidewalk, you don't want to walk on the crack. I don't want to walk on that crack. I don't want to break my chain. I don't want a day where I have a big gap. I don't want to break that chain. So perhaps your goal could be, for me, it's emails and video every single day. So maybe if you wanted to break it down like this, you could, as you completed your email for the day, make one line. And then later on, when you do your video, you make the other line. So now you have these X's all the way across your calendar. And you've started to create a chain. And what's going to happen is your subconscious is just going to take over. And you're not going to want to break that chain. So start creating a chain. Do something like that. Maybe your chain could be something completely different than a calendar, but create a chain. Something that you can visualize every single day and something you could do every single day once you've achieved that goal.
Exactly, because once it's written down in front of you on a piece of paper, on your computer or your phone or whatever you want to use to keep track of your, achieving whatever you decided to do that day. Once you actually write it down, or like Shane has on the calendar to put it an X or anything like that, or just a goals list for the day, and you check mark them as you go through them, it makes it, that visual for a lot of us, it helps a lot when you can actually see it accomplished in front of you, and it's not just in your brain, oh yeah, I've done that, but then I forgot 3 other things. No, when you have it written down, it kind of keeps you accountable for it too. And you're kind of like, okay, I still have, these many things to do by the end of the day, or, it just creates a different kind of energy and a different kind of flow to your day too.
Yeah. If you're someone who's visual in learning, it's a good thing to do. It's a good, put something up where you can see every single day. So my last one, number 4, is to help others learn to be consistent. If you truly want to learn something, if you truly want to get consistent with something, you begin to teach others. Because if you truly want to learn something, you really want to put it in your head, you really want to understand it, you really want it to become normal in your life, you want something to become natural, then begin to take what you learn and reteach it. So teaching this strategy to others is one of the keys to helping you stay consistent. So we were just talking about earlier, your why is one of the keys to staying consistent. Well, this is the other one. It's helping others. It's teaching others to do the same. You don't have to be an expert, but you can direct your team to others who excel where you struggle. You don't have to be an expert in anything. You just have to get really good at inviting them, right?
I think I really like this bullet point. And I know a lot of people struggle with this point so much. They come on board and they don't have a lot of experience, but they feel like they need to master everything in 24 hours in order to be able to help their team. And that's where you guys are wrong. That's why you have us. That's why you have Joel and Vincent and everybody else who creates content. We want to help everyone, and they can learn from everyone who's in the group. Everyone has, like a different idea, a different kind of marketing that they can teach somebody else. So don't be shy, guys. Share your, share your strategies. The only way to win and to grow an amazing team full of leaders is if you show them what you know. So don't be selfish. There are enough people for all of us to create an amazing business. So it's not like we're not in competition with each other. Don't ever be afraid that if you show someone on your team your strategies and what you've learned, you're going to run out of people to prospect your business too. That's never going to happen.
Yeah. If you're just focused on making money, forget about it. You have to get super focused on helping others. If you're less focused on just making money and more focused on also on helping other people get to where they want to be, that's where you're going to find the long-term success. You're going to have people who are just going to be drawn to you. So getting back to, you don't have to be an expert. You just got to get really good at inviting. One great thing that I love about Now Lifestyles, we have a free account. So what I like to do is, all you have to get good at doing is when you get a lead, all you have to do is invite them to sign up for a free account. Once they've done that, for us in our group, all we do is we invite them to our Facebook group where they'll have a lot of training. We do a lot of live webinars in our group, and they could ask questions through posts and stuff like that. And then from there, I just invite them to sign up for an account, become a paid member. Once they've done that, then I can actually add them into our team chat group, where now they have immediate access to the entire team, where there's a lot of leaders. So they have direct access to the leaders of the group who are doing all the training and who can actually answer more specific questions if others can't. Of course, we've got so many people in our chat group who are leaders, who are absolutely leaders, who haven't been on one of these webinars yet. I hope they will soon, but they are amazing. There's always somebody who's able to answer a question. So don't worry about being an expert. Just help the people around you. Just invite and help. Make sense? And here is one of my favorites that I just made up. So this is I kind of developed this over something Dan has, an acronym that Dan came up with, and it's ILT. It's invest, learn, and teach. But I came up with something a little different. I twisted it up a little bit, something that made more sense to me, and it's lit. And I don't mean, as you can see, I don't mean drunk. I mean on fire. I mean learn it. I mean implement it, and I mean teach it. So for me, this makes a lot more sense to me. This is taking what I learned. This is all you have to do. You got to take what you learn. You got to implement it into your life, that strategy into your life, into your business, and then you got to turn around and reteach it. Lit. That's all you have to do. Learn it, implement, and teach it.
Sounds pretty easy.
Yep. So in closing, find your why. Learn those goals, implement them, create your chain, and help others do the same. I want to leave you with this. Success is neither a magical nor mysterious. Success is the natural consequence of consistently applying basic fundamentals. That's Jim Rohn. So that's it, guys. That's all I have for you today. I hope that you were able to take something away from here, from this webinar. I hope that you learned something. I hope that you're able to take it and implement these goals into your life and start creating your chain. I look forward to where this company is going to go and where we're going to be in a year. 2018, I'm telling you, I know, like I just got through saying, don't worry about the long-term goals, but I'm going to go ahead and write this down right here. 2018 is the year that we're all quitting our jobs. We're all walking away from our jobs in 2018. Go ahead and write it down, but remember, it's all about those smaller goals to get there. Focus on those, and that larger goal will come. And
we'll still be here for a few minutes, so if you can just get out of the screen sharing so they can see us. I just want to open it up for a couple minutes if you guys have any questions at all. And we're going to answer those. So I also want to give a big shout out to Shane for putting this together for you guys today. It was amazing content. And I hope you guys had a pen and paper. If not, go back and, rewatch the whole thing and take some notes. Yeah, because a lot of times, I mean, the lives get lost a little bit, after a while in the news feed, just because there's so many of us and, in the Now Lifestyle page, and there are constant posts every single day. So either, save this video onto, your Facebook so you can watch it later, or I would just go and rewatch it and take some notes because there's a lot of great information that Shane just shared with you guys today. So let's see. Do you guys have any questions at all for us today before we end this? Yeah, I like that. It's hard. Honestly, it's hard to stay consistent every single day. And that's why I find it really useful a lot of times to do some of my work on either Friday night or Saturday or Sunday night, depending on how our schedule is, and just try to schedule a couple of emails, at least for the first, 2-3 days ahead of time if I can, or, schedule a couple of posts for the business page. So you don't have to go and do every single task every single day, just because, life gets busy and it is how it is. But if you guys need any help from us ever, just reach out, and, we're always available to, just brainstorm or answer questions or anything like that. Like Shane said, there's a lot of training available that has been created that you guys can, get your quick start. Vince created some amazing videos. Daniel created amazing videos. We have a bunch of documents that we can share with you guys. We just released the NLS ebook that has some great content from the leaders that, you guys can take a look at and see if any of that would be helpful for you. Well, it looks like you did an amazing job. There's no questions. So
Awesome.
Go enjoy the day.
Yeah, that's what I'm probably going to do. Probably go down to the pool. So I'm not at home today. I'm actually in a hotel room. For some of you who know, my oldest is 17. He's a senior this year. He's looking to go to A&M. So we're here in College Station, and the family are doing something else right now. So I'm probably just going to go and have a drink and sit down by the pool. Sounds good to me.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining, for watching us, for being here with us today. So I really hope you enjoyed our training today. But that's all we have for you for right now. We'll see you guys very, very soon, probably throughout the week, with some more tips and trainings. So happy Saturday. Have fun. Enjoy your day. Bye, Shane.
Bye.